What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Retic Lounge. We're your hosts, Nathan Katz and Lucas Bagnara. Today, we're going to be talking with Scott Sievers. He's been a Retic keeper for the last handful of years now. We'll get into a little bit of his background in Retics, but we're interested in talking to Scott tonight, mostly because of his naturalistic enclosures and what he's been able to do with what people would consider so little.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to talk to Scott tonight. Lucas?
Yeah. For those of you that like haven't seen his Instagram or haven't seen what he does amazing naturalistic setups with huge large enclosures and with tub setups. So we got a good one for you guys. Before we even bring him in, we just want to go ahead and remind you guys, for those of you watching on YouTube, thank you so much for the support. Go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification button if you want alerts on when we come out with new episodes, which, in case you don't know by now, is every Friday. And again, that link below, come join our community at Patreon. We have a awesome family over there that's growing, more than I think me and Nathan even, imagined. And of course, if you are interested in just listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we are on there. And we don't want to forget talking about USARK, especially with everything that's been going on. Support USARK. Reach out to them, email them, see if there's things that you can do locally. Don't forget to subscribe to their newsletter to get those updates. Subscribe to that YouTube channel, and subscribe to USARK Florida. They need our support now more than ever. They have
memberships are free, so all you have to do is just jump over to their website and sign up. So
perfect.
If you're even strapped for cash, make sure you're signing up just to show your support right now. Numbers are more important than anything.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and bring Scott in here in just a second. Whether you're just getting into retics or you've been breeding for years, the first place you want to visit is Stewart Design. More and more breeders keep showing up at shows, on Morph Market, and all over socials. Sometimes it may feel impossible to get anyone's attention. Stewart Design helps small businesses like yours do big things through brand clarity, helping entrepreneurs to start and scale businesses that are easy to know and love. Their work can help any company or industry, but they've done a ton of work for ours. Stewart Design created the brand for USARKs, Canova, Reach Out Reptiles, Coiled, and dozens of other well-known reptile breeders. Like many of us, the owner of Stewart Design, Blake, is a keeper and breeder who fell in love with retics. Although Stewart Design does a lot of corporate work, Blake has a passion for working with people in the reptile industry. So, wondering if Stewart Design is right for you? Stewart Design can help if you're just getting started or you're ready to take things to the next level. Maybe you're struggling to stand out and build your presence online or at shows. And maybe you don't want to be like the other guys or get lost in the crowd. You want to make your own way doing what you love. You might just have a big idea and know your business is special, but you need help sharing it with the reptile community. If something here resonates with you, reach out to Blake. Have a conversation with him. To learn more or get started, visit sdidentity.com or call them at 855-SD-LOGOS. Clear brand, own markets, Stewart Design helps create them. If you are in the market for an enclosure for your reticulated python or any other one of your reptiles, Focus Cubed Habitats is your one-stop shop for not only the best-looking cages on the market, but also provide amazing features and add-ons to your cages. We partnered with Focus Cubed Habitats because they continue to innovate and change the way we house our animals, unlike any other caging company out there. Their cages are designed intelligently and provide the most stylish and secure housing for your animals' comfort and well-being. Visit focuscubedhabitats.com for your animals' caging needs. Again, visit focuscubedhabitats.com for some amazing and stylish enclosures.
We also want to thank VivTech Products for being an affiliate sponsor of the Retic Lounge. Stop by VivTech Products for the best UV spectrum lighting on the market that will enhance and improve your snake's overall well-being and health. Visit VivTechProducts.com and use the code ReticLounge23 today for 15% off. Again, visit VivTechProducts.com and use our affiliate
code ReticLounge23 today for 15% off.
Hey, Scott, what's going on, man?
I'm good. How are you guys tonight?
I'm doing well. No
Good,
complaints
good.
over here. I know we're keeping you up late. Did you take some pre-workout like you said you were?
I did. I slammed a half shot. You better hope I stay awake.
Nice. What pre-workout do you take?
Alpha Lion.
Okay.
Okay, I haven't
I like
tried
that one.
that yet.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's been a while since I've been in the pre-workout game, but
Every
anyways,
day.
I like
every day.
They're local, so I can stop in.
Do you like work out and take it, or is it just that's what
Yeah,
what gets you going?
Me and my wife work out 7 days a week, every morning, 5:30 a.m.
Awesome.
Damn, you got 1 or 2 days on me.
Yeah, you got to do
Awesome.
it. We're old. I'm in my 40s now. You got to stay limber, man.
Yep.
I'm already feeling. I'm only 30, and I'm feeling my back tighten because for my day job, I sit for 8 hours.
31 in a back surgery, so I'm pretty much there with you, Scott.
Ooh. I dislocated my hip at 31,
Oh,
and
geez.
that was life changing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's so. I guess 31's the age that you turn old.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, we're excited to have you, man. For
Thanks for having me.
those of us, those of our listeners that haven't heard of you, go ahead and just kind of give yourself a introduce yourself, where you're from, animals you keep, whatever information you just want people to kind of.
All right. Well, my name is Scott Sievers. I've been keeping reptiles for only about 5 years now. Right now, just retics and water monitors is all I have. Back in the day, I started with boas. I think everybody had a boa or a ball. I came home with a boa at 16 to show my mom, and had a fish aquarium and a heat rock and a live rat, and was ready to go.
You were a herpetologist back then.
That's how it started.
Seriously, yeah,
That's how it started.
yeah. So you've been keeping for 5 years. I've been keeping for just a little bit longer than that. And what I love to hear about you keeping for not even that long of a period of time is just how far and how above and beyond you've gone for your animals. Before we even talk about like your current setups and what you do for your animals, when you first started keeping, how did you keep those animals? And like same type of enclosures?
10-gallon fish tanks, honestly. My very first retake went into a 10-gallon fish tank. Even then, 5 years ago, I just didn't know. Some people are a lot better at researching than others, as far as sifting through online what's appropriate and what's not. I was not the best at, finding what was doable and what was, legit. And yeah, I had visions of huge racks and 20 retics in a room, and it was just going to be wonderful. And it didn't work out like that. I ended up just having an old, I think it was like an old bookcase that we were just going to throw out. And I just decided to put a snake in it one day. And that's exactly what I did. And it had 2 levels, and that snake used every bit of that space from the second I put it in there. I mean, it just constantly moved around and chose the height, it chose the heat it wanted, it chose whether it wanted light, it chose whether it wanted darkness. So it just made me think, what else can I provide if they choose to go to these options here and there, whenever they feel like it? Well, what if I give them more options? What will they do?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of just where it started. I just started giving more branches, more height, more space, and plants, and just to see what they would kind of do, really.
All because of a bookcase I was almost tossed away.
It was almost, and it ended up going in a bonfire when I moved the snake out of there.
That's man.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. For a lot of other people that I've talked to that have really, big enclosures in regards to what people are commonly used to seeing in the retic community, I hear that all the time, that retics just utilize every bit of that space.
Yeah.
Nathan, let me ask you this. So he started about 5 years ago. You know, you started maybe about a year before me. When you got in, was that kind of the climate that you came into? Like racks were a lot more like.
No. So when I came into it, I was looking more at boas than anything. And so what I ended up doing before even, well, no, I think I had just racks when I got my boa. But when I decided that I was gonna like keep the boas and maybe like get a couple more or like look at retics, I ended up getting boa files. So
Okay.
4x1x2, or yeah, 2 deep.
Yeah,
So,
because like I had that, you know, Scott, what you were saying kind of like resonated with me because I you know, I got my first retic and got another one at like 4 or 5 months after that, and then, you know, got permission from my wife to allow me to fulfill a childhood dream and breed. And so I was keeping them in the back part of the kitchen at the time in our older house. And I was like, yeah, I can get a rack to go here. I can get a rack to go there. This is going to be great. Right. And then
It'll be easy, right? Easy.
right. And then, yeah. And then I remember when I got my, you know, my first retic, she got to the size of an enclosure, and I got her an AP enclosure. And that's just, yeah, I saw her behavior in there, and it wasn't even like a big enclosure or anything, but it was the first time I had a shelf. Right. Yeah, I think that, you know, I still use some racks now, trying to move away from it as much as I can as finances allow, obviously. But,
Sure.
yeah, I think that, I don't know, me and Nathan have talked about this, just kind of, you know, the end goal of just having a bigger enclosures, larger spaces for our snakes, and more options for them is definitely ideal for them.
no, I mean, I have my little focus cube enclosure on the way. I shouldn't say little because I just saw the packaging and it's too big.
Oh, it's on the way?
Yeah.
Sweet.
But we're doing a little experiment like Lucas is doing. And I'm just so excited to see the snakes start using the sky high more than anything. Like kid on Christmas, I just want to see the snake pop its little head out.
It literally, my Halmahera, if she's not under the VivTech bolt, she's in there, and I love going in and literally just seeing her head like looking straight down. It's really cool.
I can't wait.
So that bookshelf did it for you, Scott. And
That's it.
so before we even get into naturalistic enclosures, tell us, you know, how many retics you have, and then what other animals are you keeping?
I have 8 retics, ranging anywhere from hatchling just a few months ago to my oldest right now is 3.5. So I don't have anything too old, nothing too massive. She's only about 13 feet. That's plenty big, honestly, for me and most people.
That's bigger than any of my 6 or 7-year-old animals.
Yeah, that's a lot. She's a big girl.
Mainland on that one?
Yes, mainland. So she's from Bob. She was my first big investment snake right there. She's hopefully she's possible motley golden child. She's white faced pied, so we're hoping she proves that out. That'll be nice.
I love seeing her.
And then as far as other retics, I've got from Sal and Nick, I've got this marble orange ghost stripe male. I got a couple Turnades from Rodney. I got one of those super Malukus that he just bred a litter of or a clutch of those. I've got one of the older ones from the last clutch here as well. I've got one of the males. He's really nice looking.
What?
And then I have. I'm sorry.
What phase Turnate?
Are they?
He would be. He's F1. I'm not quite sure if he would be considered red or what.
I think yours came from clutch 11 or 12.
12. 12 was the male.
Yeah. So normal phase. Yeah, you got a great clutch. Clutch 12 was.
12 is nice. I like it.
After
that, I have a Mindanao male also from Rodney. an F2 Turnate female from Rodney. Those are all my localities.
You want a female Mindanao for that male?
You got one for me?
I do.
Oh, Lucas.
Here we go. Everybody's trying to sell me something.
She's a baby too.
I like babies.
The first
I
time
don't
I've
take on
seen him
people's
try to do it on
problems.
the podcast.
Yeah, this
Shame on
is
you,
the
Lucas.
this is the first no shame plug that I'm throwing out Lab Exotics on here.
No shame. I'm throwing shame. I'm ringing the bell,
Hey,
walking you down the street.
I got my label on. You
Shame.
better believe I don't care. I'm throwing.
I'm
Ask me if I care.
Shame.
We're pushing Nathan away here.
No shame in your game, Lucas. Do your thing.
Man, so
the snakes. I got a nice little orange glow tiger pied here too from Don Munson that I've got here. It's really nice. He's a hatchling I just picked up.
Is that the one with the really
And then
red
of course,
eyes?
yeah.
He's a good looking one.
And last but not least, of course, the ocelot from Aubrey.
The queen.
Can't go wrong with that. Man, she's nice.
They're just I mean, they look beautiful over picture and everything, but you know, there's still majority of Retic people that haven't even seen one in person, and it's a completely different, like it's a different experience looking at them.
Waking up every morning and coming in here and seeing her underneath the T5s, man, it's nice every morning.
A lot of Retic people have seen them now, but I feel like not a lot of Retic people get the opportunity to see them go through all their color changes, and you know,
it's crazy to watch that head turn yellow and then watch them silver up, and just day by day they can look different.
That's what I'm jealous of. I saw a little bit of it at Arlington when I saw Aubrey's, but not enough.
Well, he get now. Aubrey is spoiled rotten with all the sexiness he has in his house with the phantom orange glow, and oh man, I'm jealous.
Oh yeah.
After having those animals, you're like desensitized to anything else. Like nothing else looks good. But let me ask you, with your ocelot, Scott, you ever notice when it fires? Like there's times where I go in and I mean, clearly it's not a blue hypo, but you know, has that silver ever been so silver that it looks like blue?
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
That's my favorite.
It's crazy. And then the very next day, she could almost look like she's going into blue, into shed. She could darken up. Like she really changes big time.
Yeah, they're really cool.
It's interesting to watch.
So outside of Retics, what else do you keep?
Monitors. I just got into monitors about 6 months ago, maybe. So I have already 3. All babies. I got a black dragon from JC Reptiles in Jersey, and then I got the T negative from Aubrey as well.
Smart.
And then
is that the smaller line?
The small? No, I don't think this is. Not that I'm aware of.
No, but
he just started crossing with the celebs.
Yeah, he's got
he just started breeding the celebs, and those are going to be small.
Yeah, he's got a 50% celeb that is smaller than a lot of pures that he's been breeding, and
yes, nice.
He's gonna start working them down. But hold on, wait. Now tell us what the third monitor is that you just got.
The third monitor that I just picked up Tuesday. That's the Java Banded Sulfur.
Yeah, the sulfur.
That sucker's nice too.
Yeah, that's like almost a pinnacle for you know, that species. Those animals are awesome.
Any other monitor species you want to work with?
I do. I have a few that I'm getting ready to take a trip up to New Hampshire and check out some monitors here next month. Let's see what catches my eye. But the Xanthic and the Ivory and all those I want to see what they look like. Yeah.
So sticking within the water monitor.
Yeah, I mean for now, yeah. Okay. I like the bigger monitors. I do like the tree monitors, and I like things like that. But I really like these water monitors. I'm enjoying just their personalities.
To go into it.
They're so fun. They're so damn fun, man. They really are.
Yeah, every time I've interacted with them, it's like the coolest thing in the world.
Dude, 6 months ago, I was terrified of them. No lie. I was absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
And then once I handled one at Aubrey's, I got a few chances to handle one. And it was the T negative that I now own. I was able to handle her when she was a baby over there, and I fell in love immediately, and I wanted them, and I got them just like that. That's
Like
it.
you retic keepers think that your snake is smart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go hang out with a
now I
water
do.
monitor for a little bit. Like even a baby
I do
wild.
think they're smart, but they're not water monitor smart. Not even close.
No, a water monitor is like a dinosaur and a
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah,
It's the
for
coolest
sure.
thing in the world.
I would never
Um,
put a harness on my dog ever to save my life, but you will see me going down the street with a water monitor and a harness in the future. I guarantee it.
I want to be your neighbor, man. That would be
Oh
so
man,
cool.
dude, just 2 days ago, I had this big pied out 13 feet in my front yard, just stretching out all over the place. And I laid in the front yard with her. And yeah, my neighbors stopped a few times and
You
checked
don't
me
have
out.
an HOA, do you?
No, no,
Good.
we're in the country. We're in the country.
I'm in an HOA, but my surrounding neighbors know I have them, and there's actually someone on the Facebook page of our community that was rehoming and posted them on there. They had snakes, and no one seemed to panic. So I don't know, but I don't think that they've seen a 13-foot Solaire either. So
I know lots of people that hide their pet snakes that they do. I've never been one to really do that ever. I've always taken them out.
yeah,
I have too, but I've also run into the scared neighbor without me even knowing they are scared. So
it's a great
My
it's a
neighbor
great story.
was a little nervous, but she had grandchildren that were a little curious.
Mhm.
Luckily, so that made an opportunity to kind of
Yeah,
show grandma that they're bad.
that usually calms the family down when they see the
Yeah.
young ones being all intrigued and then educated a little bit.
Right. Scott, so you have water monitors, you have retics, anything else?
That's it.
I was gonna say,
it.
if you have more than that, you got your hands way more than full.
Yeah, I don't have room at the moment. I'm in one room. My reptile room is 11 by 13.
And you're
is
able
Similar
to
size
get
to
those
me.
massive enclosures in there?
Everything is in one single room, man.
Well, I mean, I see that enclosure behind you to the ceiling.
It is like it's just low enough that my ceiling fan can spin.
That's awesome.
Man.
That's
So
it.
I'm going to ask you, I know that you're not the most tech savvy or anything, but I'm going to ask you if you're comfortable with this. If you're not, that's totally okay. But do you mind? So I wanted to jump into kind of how you keep your animals now, because I don't think I look up to a single person more than I do you in terms of your enclosures and the amount of like blood and sweat that you put into building what you do for them. And do you have access to like stand up with your phone and kind of show one of them?
Yeah, I mean, right. If you can see, like right here, these are just the hatchling tubs right here. So these
Okay.
are, I believe, 70 quart. And these hold right when I get a hatchling, that's what they go in, straight to a 70 quart. The back and at least one of the sides is foamed out and carved out and coated with sphagnum moss. There's branches and sticks foamed in place. There's ledges. There's everything but lights. At this point, my lights from the enclosures shining enough to give them light. I'd really love to try to figure out a way to get like a little tiny T5 in there somehow safely, but not being that tech savvy, this is where I am.
Right.
Is all your
After
stuff
going
family?
there, they go straight to a 4x2x2. And then into either a 5x3, above me. And the top row here is divided. The whole thing is 10x3x4. The bottom row is all open for the pied, and the top is divided in half, or one for each monitor. Behind you guys is a whole brand new wall. It's all 10x3, 10x3x3. So I have 3 stacked on that row.
Damn, that's awesome. So Nathan, you asked a question.
So yeah, for like your hatchlings and stuff, are you just keeping like ambient room temperature for heat? Do you have like heat tape? What are you
Yeah.
doing? Ambient.
No, I run ambient. It's too much hassle for me to try to run heat panels and things like that.
It's a game changer, isn't it?
It's so simple. I have
It's
an
amazing.
oil-filled heater, and I do run a humidifier in here constantly.
Me
Some
too.
people don't like running humidifiers. They worry about mold and bacteria and stuff. I clean this thing weekly. I mean, I keep it pretty damn clean in here. And it's amazing. It's simple. It's done.
Right, it's one and done. And if you want to keep monitors, typically the ambient that you're keeping your retics is a good low for them, and then you just blast them with
Yeah.
a heat bulb, and yeah, it's
Basking bulb is enough to give me the jump I need for their enclosures. I also have them higher up for that reason, or heat rises a little bit to help, and it's done great. It's done great.
awesome. So you have some really big enclosures, and I'm curious. A lot of retic people have talked about, and I'll say a lot of retic breeders, a lot of the old school people talked about, they'll talk about how, naturalistic, putting plants, those kind of things just doesn't work for a snake that is, over 10 feet. I've seen some of the pictures of your enclosures, and I've seen it work for you. So what kind of substrate do you use? What kind of plants do you put in? Like, walk us through what you put in your retics enclosure, how you get it all nice and dabbed up.
For me, I mix my own substrate. It's just much easier to buy everything and mix it myself in a big tub. It's much more cost effective as well. And when you're trying to fill a 10 by 3 with a foot, there's 12 inches to 16 inches of substrate throughout this whole entire thing. It's a lot.
That's heavy.
So it is. It's very heavy. So for me, it's topsoil, sphagnum moss. Those are the two biggest primary components of it. And then you've got some play sand, orchid bark, leaf litter, and that's it. It's very basic. It's very simple, and it's not expensive at all. I filled this whole 10 by 3 for under $75, and it's been there for over a year now with this retic.
Do you so how do you go about cleaning pee, poop? Do you have any springtails or I don't know, bugs?
I do springtails. I do isopods. For the younger snakes up to about a year, anything up to about 6 foot, isopods. I've used dairy cows, and they do a pretty good job of taking care of the stool. They really will for up to about a 6 foot snake. That's really about it, and shed and things like that. Past that, yeah, you're going to be scooping. There's no way around it. But as far as the pee, no, I don't. The springtails have done great. The biggest thing about that is they have to have the space to move around from side to side and not sit in one spot and pee. And that concentration will build up. And that's really, I learned that the hard way when I had this pied in the smaller 8 by 2. There was no ability to move around as much, and she was in one spot, and the urine just continued to build up, and I couldn't keep it going that long there. As soon as I moved her to a bigger enclosure, I haven't had a problem since. I really haven't. It's been great.
That's like, I'm going to repeat what you said just for our listeners to really listen. So an 8 by 2 was not big enough for an animal that was how long?
She was probably, when I put her in there, she was probably 5 foot. When she left, she was probably 9 feet.
Yeah. So as long as you're staying bioactive or not, I mean, I don't like to use that word, but naturalistic and using my, organisms to clean up and have a cleaning crew and things, bigger is better so that there's different opportunity, like different places for them to go.
It's the only way. If you try to do it in a smaller environment, it's impossible because they do pee a lot. There's no doubt about it. We all know that.
Yeah.
They pee gallons.
Literally.
But even in my smaller enclosures here, I've got a minimum of 8 inches of substrate. And these snakes are like the male ternate here, he's probably 5 foot. The other one's not even that big. And he's been in there for well over a year now. I haven't had to change it once. And there's no disgusting smell. It's maintained very well.
Any plants?
The plants are definitely in the bigger ones. Again, if you try to do them in the smaller ones, you can with the smaller snakes. But they always end up developing a path from one side to the other. And anything in the path is dead. That's just as simple as it gets. So in the beginning, when I put plants in, I would put them where I like them. Oh, this looks great there. That looks wonderful. And then the next day you see, oh, well, that's their path. They've destroyed everything in that path. So now you have to readjust and redesign and move everything. And there's been plenty of times where I have to replace plants. I replace plants all the time. I mean, don't think that they're just perfect. And a lot of them last and a lot of them I kill because I don't water. I'm horrible at keeping things alive.
The pee doesn't help.
Man, I'm poor. No, it does not. It does not help. They still need me to keep them alive. And I'm horrible there.
I was gonna ask what plants have you found have been the hardiest with your retics? Pothos or
Pothos do okay, but they're good at getting smashed. I like trees, anything with a branch. If I can kind of. A good palm. Let's see if I can.
See, this is the benefit of you using your phone tonight, is we can be a little.
See if I can see that. I don't know if you can see the big palm there.
Yeah.
That she's around. And these trees here, again, I have to water this. Anything with a branch, anything with a bigger.
It's just in a plastic pot.
What is the? No, they're loose in the substrate.
Oh, okay.
Everything is planted.
That's really
and
cool.
loose in the substrate.
That's insane. That's.
You also have to watch when you feed. You can't feed around a bunch of plants that she's going to wrap up around and rip them up. You have to be selective of where you place your plants, where you feed. I mean, I've had her wrap around stuff and just rip everything completely out. Just it's part of it,
Yeah. Let me ask. So for people that might be interested in trying to do this, and plant things into the substrate and do that, what's your recommendations on like that connection between where to plant to make sure that you can feed?
I try to feed from one specific side every time. So I don't really have plants next to openings where the glass is. In case I'm trying to bring them out to hold them, they could wrap up and grab and try to hold on or resist. They could rip it up then. I try to put things in the back corners, and I try to put things kind of in the middle. No matter where I put them, they are surrounded by logs, kind of pinpointed around, or they're big stones around the sides to try to give me a little bit of protection there.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, when they move, I mean, they're big. She's probably 70 pounds.
Jeez. And for the most part, the plants do okay.
Yeah, they've done well. They really do. These in here, the bigger ones have been in here a little over a year now. I just added a big potho here and another little smaller plant here just to add a little something. But for the most part, everything's been in here over a year.
So, I mean, kind of what I'm hearing is that the people that have tried this with big retics before and then say it doesn't work, they've kind of given up on the first opportunity that they destroyed plants. And what I'm hearing from you is you continued doing it because it's something that you absolutely wanted to provide, and you found a way to make it work.
Yeah, for sure. It's something I enjoy doing it, even if I have to learn the hard way and try to replace a few things every once in a while. I still enjoy seeing them use everything I put in there. You know, if I put something in there and they use it once, I consider it, them exploring it. If I put something in there and they choose to continuously go back to it and use it, it's beneficial. And if it's beneficial, then I want to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, for people that don't believe that enrichment, live plants, cork bark, if they don't like, LED or not LED, but UV spectrum lighting.
Yeah, I was just about to say, have we really touched on that much? Have you been using UVA, UVB in your retic enclosures?
I keep the T5s, and T5s, they provide a little bit, nothing special like, some of the fancier lights. But no, I pretty much stuck with that, trying to keep plants alive.
We're gonna have to start sending bulbs as interview.
Hey, if you want to start sending some stuff my way, let me know. I'm building enclosures right now, so I'll add it in there.
Well,
I could chip in enough for a bulb for everyone to try out who has been interviewed on this.
Yeah, and I mean, so the experiment that I'm running, and I'm sure when Nathan, gets the opportunity to start his.
I mean, I've been dicking around with just shining it on my animals when they're outside of their enclosure, and they absolutely love it. I take pictures of them under the UV lighting from VivTech, and it looks better than LEDs on their own. Just makes the animal shine.
Yeah. If you want to mess with one of those bulbs, we can definitely make that happen.
Mm-hmm. Send it on.
So, some of my favorite pictures on your Instagram, I'm kind of multitasking right now. I'm okay with technology, but I'm trying to find a way to where I can share my screen to get onto your Instagram page so I can actually bring
this
up.
This is the first time I've ever been
up, so just give me a second.
I've never once been on a podcast or even done a Skype message in my life, man.
Man, we have a
Scott
Sievers. This is an exclusive right here.
Yeah, I'm telling you, one and only.
What do you want?
I mean, let's just start scrolling through, and if anything sticks out, let's do it. But there's one that I like to see. He has, I think it's his pied that is perched up, that perches up on branches, and it's just so cool to see a snake of that size. Let me go ahead. I'm gonna.
Well, this is a little video here.
Hold on, Nathan. I don't have this on the live just yet. I'm setting up a new. There I go, messing up. Let me just. I'm probably gonna mess this up. Sorry for you guys watching. For you guys listening, it won't be that bad. Okay. Okay, cool. All right. It's covering us, but I'm okay with that. So what?
So here's the first one perched up on that X branch, but let's shoot to this video really quick because it kind of shows it moving around the enclosure on the perch a little bit.
Scott, can you see what we're doing?
I can see it. It's pretty small. Let me scoot in.
Okay.
All right, that's the orange tiger pied.
Yeah, that's
looks like.
I have an ocelot.
Yeah.
So I that's not my favorite snake of yours because I have one. That one right there is my favorite. But I love seeing that snake in that video just chilling on that branch.
I just picked him up recently from Don. He's a nice snake.
Hold up.
He's a nice snake.
Nathan, go up. There's a picture of a tub. And I want to see if that's the tub video where you can see he builds a cave-like system.
So that looks like the springtails.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And yes, that culture is taking off, Scott.
I have a couple
man,
of those.
if you
I'm
find,
looking for the tubs right now.
yeah, so for you guys that don't know, one thing that like never even crossed my mind, but Scott posted.
So this is a panel that you're using on the 10 by 3 by 3 for the turnate. That just shows some of the foam work that you've been doing. That's like really
That's really
top
cool.
notch.
That's work. That's work.
No, and that's
That's
what I'm
fun,
saying,
though.
that you've put blood and sweat into these animals, because that takes forever to do. But
It is. It's hours and hours of carving. It's hours of painting and
Yeah.
throwing that sphagnum on there. But overall, it's worth it.
yeah, so hopefully we can find this video for you guys. But for those of you that haven't seen, one thing I've never even thought of, but Scott uses that spray foam for the like 41 quart tubs, and puts smaller snakes in there, and it basically is creating like a cave. Like, he's got it all around the sides, some parts on the bottom, and then he puts leaf and natural sticks and twigs in there, and it's literally just like the coolest, almost like cave
It's just
system.
a smaller version.
Right, it's a smaller
It's a
version.
smaller
and
version.
I
So
swear I've seen one recently, so I'm surprised I'm having to scroll this far.
yeah, I was looking for it the other day too, and I could not. I could not find it. Here, let me go through my messages with him to see if I actually sent that message, and then I'll send it.
I'm
to
afraid
you.
if I touch my phone, I'm
Oh,
gonna
wait,
mess
wait.
something up. So I'm not gonna do it.
Here's
Yeah,
there's
Scott-
a picture of the ocelot in one of those tubs, but
Yeah, Scott, do not touch your phone. Let me go ahead and look, and if I find it, I'll tag you, Nathan.
So
let's see.
Scott, do you have a favorite of the retics that you're keeping right now?
I mean, yeah, for different reasons. I mean, of course, it's hard, pretty damn hard to beat an ocelot. You know, it really is. Visually, I love looking at that snake. The big pied girl, she's kind of my oldest, and I've had her the longest right now. So getting her out is challenging and fun at the same time. So that's pretty rewarding for me as well. I've never had, this is the biggest snake I've ever owned. Before that, I had boas when I was a teenager, and trust me, they didn't live to be an adult, unfortunately. So this,
You mean the
this is
heat
my
rocks
first.
didn't work?
Didn't work, man. I'm sorry to say. So yeah, the pied is she's my first big giant, I guess you could say. So we got a little bond there.
And
Then
you have the
I know
ternates
you
there.
have some
Ternates
kids. Are your kids involved at all with the animals?
My daughter, she is at some point in the game. She likes them when they're much smaller. Of course, they're easier to manage. She sits out there with the big girl. If I have her in the front yard, she'll sit out there and she'll stroke her and pet her a little bit. But she's not too keen on carrying that much weight.
Yeah, I mean they get, like, I just unboxed last night. I just bought a 13-year-old Slayer female that she is in beautiful health, but the density of her muscle and her weight, when I took her out, was like, man, she's only about like 13 feet. Yeah, they
crazy 13 feet. It's pretty damn big.
I mean, it is, and it's crazy to think yet, some of these people that have been doing this for a while, kept back in the day where there were actually these giants, right? 18 to 21 foot snakes that weren't uncommon back then.
I can't imagine.
Right? Like, I don't even know how if that snake doesn't want to come out of its enclosure, it's not coming out.
I mean, even 13 foot here, I mean, and it makes it harder with branches sometimes. If she puts herself in this corner and she wraps around something, or she'll just push out against you, you might be able to finesse and sweet talk her out, but there's some times where you're not, and that's okay. It just has to be okay.
I feel like my method to that was I would just open the door and just wait for that to come out on their own.
You're exactly right. It really is easier just to do that with her at this point.
Yeah.
She's more than happy just to kind of come out and explore anyway, so just let her do it on her own terms.
Right.
That's the best bet when you have a nervous animal or a nervous keeper. Just give yourself some space, give yourself some time.
For sure. For sure. Take time. Time is always the answer. They're reactive animals. I always take my sweet time with a reactive animal, regardless of the species.
Yeah,
Right.
never force the issue.
Right. And usually in my case, I've had a couple snakes where like I'll open the door, let them think and see if they can come out. I try to do sometimes choice space handling for a lot of the animals, especially the ternates. I can be really savages when it comes to just feeding response. There's times where I'll open the door, they'll come flying out thinking that it's food, but there's a couple times where they have flown out and smacked the floor from about 4 feet up, and once they hit the floor after flying, food response is done. They're like, oh, what the hell just happened? It kind of dysregulates them a bit, and so you're like, all right, we're good.
Yeah, I think that would freak you out too if you went to take a bite.
Are all ternates just psychotic? I mean, I love mine. I do, but man, that when I open the door, yeah, they're coming out like 2 feet.
So one thing that I've been informed of, by Rodney, and it's worked for me so far. And what I've noticed as well is the older they get, that food response really chills out. And the defensiveness chills out if you keep working with them. It's just a matter of time for some of them. But what I have noticed is that Rodney told me like, hey, I don't know what this is. He's like, ternates are kind of a little different. He's like, if your snake is always trying to kill you for food, he's like, give them really big meals and just space them out. And I started doing that.
Yeah.
And, my ternates get football sized meals, man. They look huge after I feed them, but it really helps. And, I'll feed them every 3 weeks, right? Those really big meals. And it really, like it shut that down.
You have adults now too. How old are your ternates now?
So not really adults, but I have one that's turning 4 next month, and I have one that is and my male is 3, and I also have another female that's 3, and I'm gonna be getting an F1 proven breeder that is 4.
Okay, all right.
So
well ahead of mom. Yeah.
Yeah. So when they're younger, under a year old, it just takes a lot of work in handling and just feeding them. They'll grow out of it.
Yeah, they're fun. They're fun snakes.
They're beautiful too. So let me ask you this. When did you start doing that tub setup with the styrofoam and is that something new that you worked on, or?
It is. I started doing it when I got these locality snakes. I didn't have an enclosure, a PVC setup for them, honestly, but just in a whim, I went out and bought a big tub, and I was like, okay, let's just see what we can do. And I just threw a bunch of branches in it, wedged them corner to corner, side to side, end to end, and went from there. And the first one, that's really all I had. It was just some branches wedged in there. And then I just kind of upgraded after that and started putting foam in the background, and that went to foam around the side, creating edges and heights in the bottom, and just kind of progressed.
Yeah.
All over the last year.
Later in the podcast, I was going to kind of just ask you what you do on your free time, but I think you just answered it right there with all the different things that you do with your snake cages.
Yeah, there's no free time. There's no free time.
Well, I mean,
dogs, snakes, monitors, the rabbits I breed for all these animals as well. I stay busy.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna have an ADHD moment because we'll eventually come back to your naturalistic enclosures, but dogs. I'm glad that you mentioned that because I saw that your email when you sent it to me. What do you tell us a little bit about that?
I run a board train camp here in North Carolina. So I take dogs every month and I move them into my house for the month and do all the basics, anywhere from, just basic healing and come sit down, stay, all the way up to competition level obedience, protection level, tracking, all kinds of stuff.
Can I?
How'd you fall into that?
Uh, I personally own Doberman and have owned Doberman for 23 years now. I got my first one and started to look into just the conformation show line stuff, and it was just so damn boring. And then I saw some protection work, and I was hooked immediately. And we just progressed from there. The first dog, kind of ruined, and the second dog, we had a lot of success. We competed internationally over in Budapest, Hungary, in 2019, and we were on the USA World Team. We've had some fun with dogs. Just take it all over.
Nice.
Speaking of fun with dogs, I'm scrolling through trying to find tub pictures still, and I just like this is. Just
I
too
appreciate the commitment, man. I even oh, let me. Are we sharing screen right here? Hold on.
We're sharing screen. It's
hold on.
a picture of his Dobie's pacifier.
Oh, no.
Oh man.
Yeah. That Tony. That's that Tony. Stay off my man now.
Dobermans are. I think Dobermans are so underrated. They're awesome
They're
dogs.
fun dogs.
So how many? So how many dogs do you have? Not the ones that you keep. Not the ones that you keep.
Currently.
2?
I own 2 currently. Yeah, these
And-
are from my 2 retired competition dogs.
So in case
kind of continued the line with them.
In case you guys haven't realized now, Scott doesn't cut corners. He's got amazing monitors and morphs. He's got insane genetics and retics. He's got 70 pounds of substrate and 10-foot enclosures. And he's got competition quality dogs. That's pretty. So, I mean, speak to that. It seems like you really appreciate the value in what it is that you own and keep.
I do. I take everything very personal. Everything it's part of me. The dogs have been my life. I don't remember a time in my life not owning a dog. So yeah, it's just something. It's life. It really is. And it just moved on to retics and then monitors, and yes, I always put 100% into the animals. Animals have always been life. Before I started training dogs, I was a vet tech in the veterinary field, so I've always been animals. Period.
Yeah.
Speaking of vets, do you have a pretty competent reptile vet near you?
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, I have one in Kannapolis, North Carolina. Griffin Exotics. They do amazing work. I've been lucky. I only had to have to use them a few times, but yeah, they're amazing. You have to have a vet for these animals. You do.
And we'll post a link down in the description of a good tool of how to find a decent reptile vet around you.
Don't forget to do it.
Perfect.
I actually just took a snake of mine to the vet today. And the vet that I have here has 15 years. He's been a vet for 25, but he has 15 years experience with working with retics. So he's absolutely phenomenal. I'm really lucky. He's also the vet at the San Antonio Zoo here in Texas. I was searching for vets when I started keeping these animals, and people were like, you have one of the best like large constrictor vets in the country, like 10 minutes from you. I was like, no shit. I got lucky with that. I can't stress the importance of, what Nathan said, having a vet nearby. I feel like that's such a like second, third, fourth, fifth thought that people have when, when you're purchasing an animal.
Yeah.
Number one, it's like, ooh, I likey. Then I buy, and then it's like, oh damn, I need a cage. And then it's like,
Sure,
oh,
sure.
how do I heat it? And then I need food. And then it's like, a year down the road, I feel like people only really even a lot of people only consider it when animals start to get sick, but that could start to get stressful if you don't have that
Yeah.
in place.
It's sad.
It is. It is. Scott, so I admire what you do for your animals. I admire that the money that you spent on your animals, you could clearly have like 2-3 times the amount of animals and just not have as expensive or nice quality animals. But I really love that you have kept it personal, small, and you've gone above and beyond for them. I guess there's we talked about like a lot of people saying that, naturalistic and bigger enclosures don't work. But I mean, I would like to hear from you kind of like a message to our listeners on why it is that you continue to do that, even though it's not the easier route. Like, what is it that really hits it for you? That kind of like an inspirational message for people to try to change the way that we think about putting 13-foot snakes in 6-foot vision cages.
I'd just like to see people give it a shot, and try it. And I think they'd be amazed if they spent a little bit of time and gave the animals the opportunity that they'd show them a whole different side. I mean, it is a lot of work, and there's no doubt about it. To be honest, though, I think the amount of time that I've put into my snakes, into builds and things like that, I would rather put that time into that than all the cleanup and changing paper constantly. Like, I think you guys, that's a lot more work in my mind. Like, constantly, I had a few snakes last month that were in quarantine that I picked up, and that amount of work, like, that's not easy either, and I would much rather put work into.
I keep on paper. It's
I think that's harder. It's more constant day to day.
I
Whereas
like it
me, I put
because
the
I'm
work
constantly
in.
hands-on with my animal. But yeah, it does take a lot of just man hours, and
I'm constantly hand-on too. But I mean, I put a lot more work into the build and the design, so I can sit here and just look at my animals and hold them and handle them and things like that. Like, that's
you get a lot
that's
more
the enjoyment for me.
Yeah.
I get to sit here in this room every single day, every morning after me and my wife complete our workout. I come in this room, and it's like a sauna. And I sit here and sweat it out, and I hold retics, and I hold monitors, and
yeah, Lucas just
I get my protein shake.
3 hours the other day. And this is my chance because I just caught this for the second time. Lucas, you're on mute.
Oh, damn it, dude! It's been a long time since either of us were on mute. we gotta go back and see what the score was.
It's a point of contention for us, Scott.
Yeah, I don't know how much you've been following, but all of 2022, the second half, Nathan muted himself all the time, and 2023 seems to be me talking when I'm on mute.
Well, you see, I had to bring my wife in here to get me hooked up with you guys. So,
so I mean, it's definitely, you have shown people, and I tell people this all the time, because we, like, on our Patreon, we'll have people talk about naturalistic enclosures and plants, and like, oh, but what about big retics? And I'll be like, hey, have you ever heard of Scott? I go ahead and send them your Instagram. I'm like, look at what this dude is doing. Like, I was like, it is doable, right? So this idea that like you can't do it with retics, it's like, nah, you can. And
you can. It's work, and I've had plenty of failures at it, no doubt about it. But you can.
Let me ask you this question: since you've been doing all this, and since you give them more, how are your retics behavior like? Like when you open up the enclosure, the whole food response, that people like, you walk by a retics enclosure and it's just waiting to eat there. And I mean, have you noticed any behavioral changes? Are your snakes, do you?
They're much calmer. I mean, as far as food responsive, the F1 Ternate, he's crazy as hell, but he's
Besides
right
him.
here at the corner. Like, yeah, besides him, like he's right there at the corner. Also, when I walk in the room, when I round the corner, he's right there. So he's always triggered by that. But other than that, like my big 13-foot pod here, and I have video of it after numerous times. All last year, she didn't strike once at a prey item. She would come up and simply wrap it very slowly and calmly and just lay there. She never even opened her mouth.
I call those broken retics.
She's never. Yeah, I agree. I would honestly rather them strike. It's much easier to deal with.
Right.
But they're all laid back. I have yet to be bit. Honestly, I've never the ocelot nail at Aries when I picked up. Other than that, I've never been bit by a snake in my life.
Yeah. It took me. I mean, I kept snakes growing up.
I'm gonna knock on some wood now that I said it. There.
Right. You're knocking on an enclosure. That's a snake that's going to bite you. But yeah, I mean, it took me, I didn't get bit all growing up with snakes, and it took me 4.5 years into keeping retics for me to get bit by my first snake. And it was a new snake that I got, and stupid, I was holding it, cleaning the enclosure while I was holding her, and I guess I just dropped down too quick and she got scared and just got my elbow. I didn't even realize it, and I looked down and I saw blood. I was like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, the only times I've gotten bit, it's something I've provoked and just me being kind of dumb. And
right.
Sure.
the other times were hatchlings being hatchlings.
Right.
Yeah, that's what they do.
But I think that yeah, I'm again just really happy that you came on, and the fact that you've never even done anything remotely like this before. Like, I can't thank you enough for doing this, because again, you are an inspiration to not just me, but I think a lot of people really see what you're doing, and it's man, I don't think you could be doing much better for your retics unless you had an entire room that had Indonesian plants and trees, right? Like I think you're going like just so far above and beyond, and you're breaking that status quo of a box with nothing in it. And I don't not that that's a negative thing, right? Because to each their own, and everyone has their preferences.
For sure.
But I think that we're still very early in this stage of like seeing exactly what we can provide naturalistically for these animals. And I mean, at least in the US, you're on the top, you're leading the way with a few others.
Yeah, and I mean, in the end of the day, Lucas, this is what we started this podcast for, was just experience-based retic keeping, animal keeping, whatever. And I don't think that we've had anyone on, besides maybe Duran, that is a better example of just ways we're able to learn from others' experiences as breeders ourselves.
Right.
It's awesome. It's very kind for you guys to say that.
Yeah. So, Scott, I would love for you to drop your Instagram handle if you want to just say where people can find you, so that I would love everybody to give him a follow and really just see what he's doing. I know that you guys got a little sample here on the episode of scrolling through his Instagram, but what's your Instagram handle? Don't tell me you don't know, and don't look on Instagram either.
I got it. It's SeversScott.
Seevers. It's my name.
It's SeversScott. Just throw his last name first, and you're good to go.
Awesome. So Scott, gonna give you the opportunity. Any last things that you kind of want to say on regards to the topic that we talked about, or anything else that you wanted to, you were invited on, anything that you didn't get the opportunity to share that you wanted to?
I really just want to thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity. This is brand new to me. Never thought I'd be on something like this. Little crazy, really is. But I enjoyed talking with you guys. It was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a great time as well. And we would love you
I
at some.
want to see kind of out of their normal. I want to see people get out of their normal routine of, for me, minimalistic is what I'm trying to avoid. So I'd like to see people kind of take a shot and explore a little bit and see what their animals, kind of show them.
I'm going to talk to you a bunch when we start the later phases on my experiment over here with this focus cube cage.
Yeah.
Once we get into some of the more naturalistic
Yeah,
stuff, I think
definitely
springtails, some of those cleanup crew, and some
Yeah.
plants are in order.
Sure.
Yeah. And also, Scott, just a
Awesome.
a formal invitation. Any guests that we have on, we have them join our Patreon lives. And I'm sure we will have a bunch of our Patreon members and Discord members want to ask you some questions in regards to plants. And we have a lot of people on there that are really into this right now. So we'll get you on one of those lives so that you can answer some questions after this interview down the road. And just speaking about Patreon, for those of you that are on our Patreon and on our Discord, thank you so much for your support. Again, don't forget, go ahead and become a member of USARK.
USARK Florida, free membership right now. It's more important than ever that we're supporting USARK Florida as well as just USARK.
Yeah. Scott, it was great having you on. Have a good rest of your night. Hopefully we didn't keep you up too late.
I'm crashing. Y'all have a good night.
Hey, you too, man.
Take care.